Welcome to everybody. If you can follow along yes, we're so glad that you're here with us today. Sayward is sharing just a few things in the chat. We have our slide deck, which is available to you today, where you can follow along. And we are recording today, so this recording will be made available to anyone who would like to go back and watch it, share it later, or anybody else who has not been able to make it today will be able to get it there. Also, if you are new to our state mandated platform, we suggest the access guide, which Sayward has also put in the chat. And yes, James, I will go ahead and fix those settings right now. Okay, that should be updated at this point.
All right, and it looks like it is 11 o'clock. So welcome everyone. We are so glad that you are here with us today for this town hall meeting about the Grad 004 policy update. I'd like to take just a moment to introduce ourselves to you in case you don't already know who we are, but we are the arts education team at DPI. I am Sayward Grinley, your dance and visual arts consultant, and Brandon Rader is your music and theater arts consultant. And we are led by our fabulous section chief for social studies and arts education, Dr. Lori Major Carlin. Lori, if you'd like to say hi.
Hello, everyone. Nice to speak with you this morning. I'll go ahead and introduce one of my very favorite humans. She works so hard for you, you can't even imagine. Sneha Shah Coltrane is with us today to make sure that we don't tell any lies and that we are very clear on how this policy has been updated and will impact us moving forward. So I believe she's on a call right now. If not, you can feel free to say hi, Sneha.
Hi,
Otherwise, we'll just go ahead and continue.
I'm good. I'm right here if anybody needs anything. Thank you so much, team.
Thank you, Sneha, for being here with us today. So for our agenda for today, we will talk about this law and what it means, and then the implementation update for you, and then we will have an open forum for you to ask any questions that you might have, and of course, follow with a closing. So our presentation goals for today are to help you to understand what this law is and what is in it, understand the updated Grad 004 language and how that is written, to understand the NCSIS Power School and how it will track the requirement, and to share any concerns and challenges that you have about this arts ed graduation requirement. And hopefully we will answer as many of your questions as we can. So quickly, we want to make sure that you know that we are covering the teacher leadership specialists standards, and they are evaluated yearly on these 5 standards. Today, we are supporting standard 1, which is teacher leadership specialists demonstrate leadership. You will engage in the learning process that you need to understand how to facilitate leadership and teamwork within your schools. And there's fabulous information there if you want more. And then also check out our admin guides, which give great insight to how programs could look for your administrators at your different schools. For our welcoming activity today, we're just going to ask you quickly to share in the chat, what is your favorite memory from a middle school arts class? We'd love to hear that, whatever class that might have been. Hopefully you all had one at some point. If you did not have one in middle school, at some point over your K-12 career, but we'd love to hear if you have a middle school favorite memory.
And I know I put a picture of visual art, but this could be any arts.
Mm-hmm. So James says favorite memory was the sense of family and community from playing in band, the best part of his day, every day. Fabulous. Betsy says, actually drawing something that looked like I was trying to draw in arts class. Lori shared, I was the world's worst clarinet player. My best friend and I enjoyed magazines on our stands during class and then played amazing fake clarinet concerts. It was a win-win. And Brandon shared, I loved starting off my days in jazz band before school. It always started the day off in an exciting way. Laura shared, my art teacher was my theater teacher, and I adored her, Miss Donnan. She let us write our own play and perform it. I was a drunk bag lady and didn't know I could be funny, and it was a powerful moment in my life. Awesome. Mark shared band trips. They were the best place to experience and develop friendships. Evelyn says, I remember having class in our cafeteria, which made us sound like a huge group. Yes, I will say I had a middle school theater class where we got to write our own play too, and it was a murder mystery, and I got to be the murderer, and I was super shy and introverted, and so this was the first time that I got to do something that I really put myself out there, and it was a big moment for me as well.
Thank you so much. That was really fun. All right. So I'm going to talk just really briefly about the law which was passed. Of course, we teach everything within comprehensive arts education, and one of the parts from the task force in 2010 was to pass an arts education graduation requirement. And so after 10 years later, it actually passed, and that was here session law 2020-78, which says that a student needs to be able to complete one required arts course arts education between grades 6 and 12. So we'll talk a little bit more about what that actually looks like in implementation. But at any point between grades 6 and 12, every student needs to be able to take one arts class. The rest of it has to do with exceptions, which we will talk about, and the way that DPI will implement it and then report on it. All right, so I'm going to pass it over to Lori.
Great. Thank you guys so much for, again, being here with us today. I come from the old school. We've talked about this, especially with the 13 of you. I know that we've had lots of conversation about what this looked like many, many, many years ago when I was in the classroom, and the fears that people had. And I can tell you that there shouldn't be any fear. This is a wonderful, positive thing. It's going to elevate the arts, and it's not going to destroy our higher level programs or cause any heartburn for our students or our teachers. So we're really very, very enthusiastic about sharing. The policy was updated in, oh gosh, I've lost the date, recently, February, maybe. And it's part of Grad 004. So beginning next fall in 22, students entering grades 6 and 9 would have to have at least, I'm sorry, entering grade 6. And then when they are in 9th grade, it would be in 2025, 26, they'll need to have at least one arts education course. It cannot be a local elective. It needs to be the full standard course of study, which is going to play a big role in using your course codes, but we'll get to that in a moment. If a student transfers into a public school in the beginning of the 9th grade or later, if they're a military student or something like that, there are exceptions that can be made, but it's really important to understand the way that it will be tracked is through those power school codes. And it, again, cannot be a local elective.
Right. And this does not change the overall amount of credits that students need. It just is in there as an extra or another point. So the way that DPI is forming this, our data team has been who contracts directly with PowerSchool has been working with them in order to track these course codes, which are directly tied to our state courses, so are those that teach the standard course of study. And I know you've heard me say it many times, so I'm going to say it again. Only those which begin with the number 5, which of course excludes our 5-7 codes because those are our local elective codes. But any of the other 5-0 through 5-6 codes are the only ones which will satisfy this in PowerSchool. So it's imperative that we don't code anything with a miscellaneous 9 code or code a dance course as a PE course, because those things will not track correctly, and the students will not get credit for the arts education course that they actually took. So again, or the standard course of study has to be taught. So only those courses which teach the entire standard course of study in an arts ed subject will satisfy this requirement. We are not putting a timeline on that because we know so many schools have different needs. Some might be able to do that in a semester. Some might be able to do that only across an entire year. There are a variety of different situations that our schools find themselves in, and thus we are just trying to emphasize the fact that the entirety of the standard course of study should be taught to satisfy this requirement. And the only way we can track that is using our correct course codes.
So some exceptions to this, again, are students moving from another state to North Carolina in the 9th grade or later. So those students may not have time to fit that arts ed class in. So they would be exempt from the arts education graduation requirement if requiring them to do so would keep them from graduating on time with their cohort. So if by adding that arts education class into their schedule would keep them from getting everything else that they need in order to graduate, then they would be exempt from this requirement. So that's only if they're moving in after the fact and trying to catch up on all of the other requirements needed to graduate.
And what we need from you is basically just keep calm and carry on. Everybody is doing the good work of sharing arts education. We just want to make sure that we track it appropriately. So in order to do that, we need you to ensure that course codes are correct and updated, and that your data managers perhaps have an opportunity to view this town hall if you want to share. It won't be an hour, I promise you. We're at 12 minutes right now, and I can't fathom us going beyond 11:30, depending on how many questions you all have. But it's a nice short video that you could share with your data managers to help them recognize the importance of using those correct codes. Of course, they understand that, but we would just want to make sure that according to the new policy, they're up to date. Ask us questions. There's going to be a moment here where we open up to your questions. And of course, we are always here for you. If something comes up down the line that we haven't addressed, please reach out to us. And of course, this will be posted for any interested parties who want to see this video.
All right, so we're gonna go on to your questions.
So for your questions, you can do the Q&A panel, which is over by participants and chat. You can do that, or you can type questions directly into the chat if that works for you. Or if you have specific questions for one of us, for example, if you want to ask Lori why her sound is so terrible, you can put that in and I'll tell you it's because I live in Chatham County and we don't believe in the internet out here. So, whatever your questions are, please feel free to enter them in the chat. We'll give you about 2 or 3 minutes to start those conversations, and depending on what you ask, we'll go from there. You can't see me, but I'm playing the clarinet while we're waiting.
You sound marvelous.
I always did.
I don't think I ever got to play an instrument where other people were playing the same thing that I was playing, so I could never fake it. Drumline, I guess. Snare.
Y'all are so funny. I'm thinking I was a flag girl, the flag captain.
That's awesome. I
Don't
can
you
see
see
that.
me out there being a flag captain?
Definitely.
I can.
I can see that.
Really not sure how I ended up doing that, but
Everybody wants to be part of marching band. That's fine.
that's right.
Yeah.
Are you guys seeing anything in the Q&A panel?
Yes, and I can tackle this one. So it says, Emily asks, I just want to clarify that it can be a middle school course, arts course. In the past, we were told it had to be a high school code. Just wanted to make sure we have it correct. So no, please do not teach the high school standard course of study to your 6th graders. That is not what we are asking. Please teach the 6th grade standard course of study to 6th graders and use the correct and corresponding 6th grade arts education course code. And it does satisfy the arts education graduation requirement and will be tracked in PowerSchool.
And I think the key difference, Brandon, here, and just for whomever was asking that question, is that really is about high school courses credit in middle school. That's a different ball game than this idea of an arts education experience, right? In grades 6 through 12. That is what the law is talking about, right? The intent is that high school courses and middle school for credit are a different ball game, and that we don't do for arts.
Right.
So if they take a middle school course, right, it will satisfy this, but it will not give them a credit. It will not give them a number credit towards their graduation.
Right. That's great. Thank you. That was a really easy.
Yeah, maybe we can clarify that too, how it looks on the transcript, that it's checked off like you would get the first aid certification, like a check mark basically, instead of adding additional credits to what they already need to take.
But if they did take in 9th grade the course, it would be both, right?
Yes.
Right. Yes, and Wendy, I know you said that was just answered, but as long as the middle school course in one semester teaches the entirety of the standard course of study, that would satisfy it. Depends wholly on the amount of time that students are given and how efficient the teacher and the students are.
Are there any other questions at this time?
I'm hoping this means we've been very thorough the whole process.
Yay!
Hooray!
Oh, we have a friend raising their hand. James.
This is not really a question per se as far as the information you shared, because I think the department has been very thorough covering this and put out a lot of information. So I think we're in good shape there. I'm just curious if there have been many districts that pushed back or said that they were going to have a hard time with this. I know when we did the numbers in our district, it was like 90% of the kids already were going to meet the requirement anyway if they were part of our current process.
I, from academics and policy, have not received any pushback. Nobody has said, oh my goodness, I think most students do take some type of art, right, in grades 6 through 12, which is why I was kind of surprised when the law passed, to be honest with you. But I'm glad, right? So then we get the other 10%. But Brandon and Sayward, do y'all or Lori hear anything else from your end?
No, the
No.
numbers from Arts NC who, I used to share about this, I think are higher than 95% of students, I believe, statewide who already achieve this.
Thank you. Oh, and I did actually have one question. Do I remember reading somewhere correctly that students on the OCS pathway are they don't fall under this, right? Are those, is that correct?
Correct. So the law, DPI is making, and the board has made that distinction. It is not as clear in the law, but our legislative staff did talk to legislators, and we just said, listen, there's just and sometimes legislators make a law and don't realize all the implications, right? And yes, so you are absolutely correct that this does not apply to OCS.
That's what I thought I saw. And that's the only exception, right? Just the OCS course of study.
OCS, and then Brandon or Sayward, what's the one if they come in?
If they move in late and it would prevent them from graduating on time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we would.
That would also say ECS, right? If you're on the extended content standards, unless the student wanted to, right? I wouldn't hold them back for that.
Great. Well, you guys know that you know how to reach us. If there are other questions, to weigh in on whether or not there's been any pushback. I am a dinosaur.
Yeah.
And so like I said, was resistant to it, but I think the way that it has played out has been really beneficial for arts education. So I'm excited about that.
Great. Awesome. And so for our closing today,
All right, take it away.
if you would like to share, there you can choose one of these cards and share something in the chat. If you can just say which suit you are responding to and then give your answer. What are some gems or diamonds that you've gathered from people or the content? If you have something you want to share from the heart, how you feel, what sort of new ideas you've dug up, or what ideas, thoughts, or point of views grew for you today?
Thank you, Sneha. Sneha already shared. Arts folks are just the best. And Lori, from the heart, I'm so grateful for smart and thoughtful arts teachers and short meetings. Linda, I agree. Heart work. James, Ace of Spades, reaffirmed the OCS pathway would not be held to the requirement. Ace of Hearts, love short meetings.
I'm going to jump in right now just to remind everybody on this call that we do have the Dale Spring Coordinators meeting on May 10th. So please make sure that you register for that one too.
Brandon, do you mind sharing the link if you have it to register here if we're here? That way we can do that while we're thinking about it.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And while he's doing that, Laura also shared from the heart, grateful for the work you all do to communicate effectively with us all. You are welcome, and we are grateful for all that you all do. We would not be able to do this without you and your support for sure.
I apologize. That took me longer than I thought. This is
That's all right. Well,
an,
while Brandon is getting that, thank you all. There's the registration link there to register for that spring Dale meeting. We are very excited about that meeting, and it should be a great time to get together and see everyone and do some learning and some networking and some fellowship with each other.
great.
Woohoo, under my time.
Everybody
Well,
have a fantastic end of the year. Y'all, DPI can never thank you enough for all your hard work and dedication and hard work that you also do. I love that, Linda. But really, we know it has not been an easy year, and I'm just, you got this, and you know, you'll get to rest for just for a little bit really soon. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you all so much. Be well and let us know how we can help you.